It's been 2 years since my father passed away, and not a single day when I don't think about him. Initially, I thought it was a dream, like I couldn't comprehend it. I was like, I'm dreaming. I don't know how to put it into words. It's like one of the worst things that could ever happen to you. And I pray that nobody has to go through that pain. Nobody, not even an enemy, because it's not a natural death. It was a very sudden, very shocking death.
මහත්මයා නැති වුණයි කියලා මට ඒ කෝල් එක ආපු වෙලාවේ මට අපිට ඒක හිතා ගන්න බැරි දෙයක් වුණා. ඒක පුදුමාකාර මේ මං හිතන්නේ ජීවිතේ කිසිම දවසක කිසිම කෙනෙක් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ නැති දෙයක්. ඇත්තටම මෙතන මෙහෙමයි දැන් මරණ එක්කෙනා මරුණන් පස්සේ ඉන්න මිනිසුන් ඒක දරා ගන්න බැරි වේදනාවක්. ඒක ගැන මටවත් මගේ මහත්තයාත් ඒ ගැන හිතන්න නැතුව ඇති. එයා එහෙම දැනන් හිටියනම් මං හිතන්නේ මේ කවදාවත් මේක කරයි කියලා.
A suicide destroys more than one life. Every suicide rips a family apart and engulfs a community in loss and sadness. According to John Davey, a British Army officer stationed in Sri Lanka in the early 19th century, neither suicide nor homicide were common among Sri Lankans. Sadly, Sri Lanka, a country with such a compassionate history, today reports one of the highest suicide rates in the world. During the year 2013, 3,455 Sri Lankans took their own lives. That's almost 10 suicides a day. Suicidal tendencies and self-harm are much more prevalent among men than women. The country loses 4 men to suicide for every 1 woman who takes her own life. 2 out of every 10 suicide victims are a teenager or a young adult.
Unfortunately, people tend to attribute the act to a social reason, but actually the underlying reason is mainly either it's a mental health disorder like depression, or it's the intense emotional reaction following a stressful situation, a crisis or a trauma in life. Right? So when we talk about mental disorders with regard to suicide, it's mainly depression. It can lead to suicide, but there are other mental health problems. In depression, actually initially they develop symptoms like feeling helpless, feeling worthless. They get suicidal ideas only when depression becomes severe. So our aim is actually to identify these people who are suffering from depression early.
Family-related issues such as disputes, frustration with elders, domestic violence, and breakdown of kin relationships account for 1/4 of all suicides. Mental and physical disorders account for another 1/4 of suicides. Poverty, indebtedness, and employment-related issues are reasons for another 1/10 of suicides. Disappointment and frustration caused by the breakdown of romantic relationships drives another 10% to suicide. A small minority are driven by substance addiction.
Informal and confidential emotional support is very important to a person who is going through a crisis, because it will help them to unburden without being judged, and it will help them to relieve themselves, and because they will feel accepted and they will feel comfortable and they will relieve themselves.
Not all people who commit suicide wish for death. They simply want to escape from a situation they can no longer live with. A suicide survivor once said, "I never wanted to kill myself. I felt I had to." A person with suicidal thoughts may not ask for help or may not know that he or she could be helped. Every one of us can help a fellow human being susceptible to suicide and self-harm.
If you think you have feelings of suicide, or if you are going through a serious crisis, and if you know of someone who is going through a crisis and thinking of taking their own lives, please talk to us. We are always there. You are not alone. Please come and talk to Sri Lanka Sumithrayo.
Suicide is a preventable human tragedy. Saving a life from suicide saves many other lives from lifelong devastation. Kind hearts, compassionate minds, and watchful eyes save lives from the tragedy of suicide. Sri Lanka Sumithrayo. Say yes to life.